So it's Tuesday, July 23rd, 2013, and we're here for a second interview with Dean Johnson, and it's Peter and Andrea interviewing. So Dean, I thought we would start, we're going off of your notes this time, which were really fabulous. So I thought we would start with your explanation of all of the different docks. So you wrote about the New Westminster Waterfront, the PCT docks, the Gilly Brothers docks, the Bachman and Kerr docks. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, we'll start from overseas. That's the nearest Petula Bridge that we worked on. That was plywood, few sacks they had. They had one long, that I remember, shed where they put all the stuff they wanted to keep dry in, plywood and sacks and stuff like that. They had probably four berths there, I think. And the dock was in pretty bad shape. When we worked there, one guy, his forklift, they were doing scalp, and the forklift went right through the dock. But he didn't get hurt bad, you know. So the docks there weren't kept up at overseas. And
were the sacks imported?
we were shipping them out.
Okay.
If sacks of grain or flour, whichever, they changed all the time. Some of the sacks. There was mostly lumber.
Okay.
And plywood. Mostly out of that was lumber and plywood, and they would pile the lumber up outside. And they had strad carriers, small strad carriers, and we would set a lift trucks because the dock face wasn't wide enough to carry like a 24 down, so you had to go in strads and you drop them off at the hatch. And lots of work there.
And when did they have the strad carriers?
In the early 60s, and it went right through to till they bought them out and shut them down. That was in the late 60s.
So all the time that you were working out overseas, there were strad carriers?
Yep, there were strad carriers.
And was that...
And forklifts, but strad carriers.
Sure. And was that doing packaged lumber, or was it loose lumber?
It was loose lumber when I was there. And packaged lumber, they'd do the same. Because the dock face wasn't widened. Well, to go down with a forklift, the forklift goes down this way, and you get a 24-foot package, and you need that 24 feet. Yeah. With a strad, all you need is 4 feet, and it's along.
Yeah, sure.
And it picks up in bunks, and the bunks are blocks of wood that they would pick them up with, and you set it down in front of the hatch and drive off. And go around the shed and pick up another load and come down. This one circle. And that's what we do.
Did people dislike working at overseas because it was sort of in not in good condition?
No.
Didn't make a difference really to you?
No. Most of the docks down there were in good condition.
Okay.
They had to keep them up. And the building was nice, but we noticed the owner of overseas, he drove a Rolls Royce parking down there, Silver Cloud Rolls Royce. We all noticed that. There used to be an old woman that used to have a bus, and she had converted that bus into a coffee shop.
Oh yeah.
And we would all go down there, line up and go in and get our coffees and our donuts and stuff, and then take it back to the hatch to the guys.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know how many. She was there from before I started. I don't know. And then what they did overseas, they built a little restaurant, put her out of business, and built a restaurant and had someone else run it.
Oh.
And this couple, they ran it for a while, and then it sort of, they couldn't make it go over it, you know? And that was the end of that.
Oh.
And then going west of that was your Evans Coleman and Evans, and it was dock. And that was in rough shape, and they used to have a lot of scow work, not really off the dock. Berth the ships there, and the scows would come up. And the same with B&K dock, Bachman Kerr, they would do the same. They were that good, and they used to have a lot of scow work there. And
And you said at B&K, sorry Peter, you said at B&K that the main floor was a retail store?
Yes, you had a big building, and there was something like an elevator, but a small one. But on the north side of it there was a retail store there where it was like Buckerfields, you know, they still had a little retail store. A friend of mine worked there.
Oh.
A friend of mine, he worked in that store.
What did they sell in the retail store?
All kinds of, for farmers, you know, stuff for farmers. Feeds and stuff like that, and any equipment farmers needed, you know, not the big equipment, but small stuff they needed.
And what, was that store in some way connected to the terminal?
Well, it was right on the terminal. But B&K had that dock, and I guess they used to ship things in, feed, before my time. I don't remember, but before my time, and they had that dock, and then they had the retail little store. And then they didn't do it anymore, and Stevedore and Companies rented the dock off them, you know, and the ships came in, or the shipping companies did, and they used that, as far as I remember. And it was a big yellow building, B&K, and that was for Batman Kerr. That was you know, Herbert Cohen.
So Brackman used to operate a terminal, and then they had a store of things that they imported, and then they got out of the terminal business, but they kept on having the distribution and retail operation. Does that sound right?
I would guess so. I'm not too sure, but I would guess that's the way it went, because otherwise they probably have that sort of grain, you know, build the elevator there, and a retail right on the dock. So I just presume years ago they would, you know, maybe even exported the grains from there, or whatever. But we never actually worked for B&K, but that we called it the B&K dock. And maybe they, you know, maybe they did some longshore, you know, some work there years ago before my time. But and then you went down from overseas, Evans, Coleman and Evans, B&K dock. Then years ago you had Gilly Brothers. And they supplied all the fishermen with their ice and all their stuff. And they had fishing boats themselves.
Right.
That they sent up. And then they supplied coal. That drove all over New Westminster and dropped coal off. And I don't know if they went over to Surrey or Burnaby, you know, around that area. And they would come in, and I remember even our place, guys would pack the coal down to our basement, and you know. And my dad even worked for them for one little bit. He went out in the fishing with them because he was fisherman from Norway, so that's what he did when he first came here in '44. And Gilly Brothers, from what he told me, was a very good company to work for. He was very impressed with them. And I don't know what happened. They closed down. I don't know why they closed down or whatever, but I don't remember. And then after that was Pacific Coast Terminals. And they had, I think, 5 berths. I think all of New Westminster, but these were Liberty type ships, so they weren't the big ones, but the Liberty ships. You could get up to 15 ships at one, you know, berth there. I think you could do that. And there was 1A, A, B, C, D berths. And they had the smallest complete steam railroad in the world at that time. And they had the turntable and everything, so they could run the steam engine in and turn it around and come back out. And I think they had 11 miles of track. I think so. Joe Briggs knows about it more than I do. He knows that. How many miles of track they had. And they used that. And then at PCT, they had another big warehouse where they loaded concentrated lead. And in that warehouse, they had big front end loaders. How the lead would come in on boxcars. And then they had a grader up on a platform, and the boxcars went under it. And this guy in a grader, he dug out all the concentrate and put it on a conveyor belt, if I'm sure, and it went up into this warehouse and they dropped it off. And they had front end loaders there taking it and running up and stockpiling it there in the inside. And when you think of all the lead in the air and the diesel fumes and stuff, it wasn't very well ventilated at all. But that's what we would do, and we would get jobs out there that when they finished that, we would get in there and clean it out.
Right.
And make sure they got every little speck out of the boxcar, of the rail car there. And one funny incident I can tell you there. This guy, he's with us, and what you had to do was you had to open the bottom of the rail car, and you had a big bar which you put in and opened it up, and it would fall off. Whatever was left would fall on the ground, and you'd move the rail car and you'd clean that up. And to get this thing, if you didn't hold it tight, once it got to a certain position, it would flip right over. And this one guy, Lindgren, he was doing it. And I mean, it was a Saturday night. He was dressed up to go. So he had a nice white shirt on, a jacket and stuff to go with him, and this dirty lead. I guess he needed a job. But anyway, he was nipping all the time, so it didn't matter. He was feeling good. But he'd take this bar and went, and it knocked him on the shoulder and knocked him into the mud. Oh, and he was paining. Well, we better get the first aid man. So he got up, sitting on the stairs, the stairway that was going up to the lunchroom in that building. And first aid says, "Yeah, you may have broke your arm or your shoulder. We call an ambulance." Oh, well, the ambulance comes. He gets up and lays down in the mud again for the ambulance guys to pick him up. He thought they wouldn't take him to the hospital. He was laying down. So we had a big laugh about that.
I've seen some confusing records about a ice room and an ice cream place in that PCT. Can you tell us more about what else was there?
Well, in that PCT for ice, there was on the top floor. I think it was the top floor. They had a freezer for ice, and it was for the fishermen to come out, and you would take these big blocks of ice and you'd put them into the shredder, chipper. And we'd chip all the blocks of ice, and then I would shoot it down. Once you got it lined up for on the fishing boats, for the hatch on the fishing boat, they would shoot all the ice down. They'd fill up the hatch with ice as much as they wanted, and we would do that. Longshoremen would do that.
Okay, feed the ice into the machine.
Feed the ice. We would get the big ice blocks, and move them around, shove them in the chipper and stuff like that. And we do that. Then there was, I'm not sure if it was on the same floor, maybe it was, or one below. I think they had two, though. Big freezers. And this is where they froze all your frozen food that you would have here. Turkeys, all kinds of turkeys, chickens, hams, beef, whatever. And they would keep it frozen until Safeways or some store needed a certain amount. Cornish hens, all kinds of Cornish hens I remember, and they would be frozen there for months.
And where had those come in from, the food, do you think?
They didn't come in, that I remember, by ship. They came in by truck.
Oh, okay.
And they had big trucks, and we'd unload the trucks, or sometimes we'd load them up, and this is how they would come in.
And they were just stored then at PCT?
Then just stored at PCT. And shipped out as needed.
And so PCT was, I'm guessing if they had a big ice maker for the fishing ships, well, the one was somehow the two were connected, they needed a freezer for one thing, they might as well use it for the other thing, something like that.
Yeah, probably something like that.
Yeah, but PCT wasn't into fishing, or did they have?
No, they just supplied the ice.
They
weren't into fishing at all. Not like Gilly Brothers. Gilly Brothers had a number of boats, fishing boats. You took the boat out and they gave you chips. They were good, Gilly Brothers. My dad went there, just come up from Winnipeg, asked him for a job. He was a fisherman, you know, in Norway. Okay. They gave him a 35-foot gill netter, all the equipment, all the food, everything. And plus, on the way up to Prince Rupert and back, you know, here's a bunch of coupons to go in, and you could go to the store and buy whatever you wanted in these small towns up the coast. Whatever you needed. Here was, coupons for that. And you can come down tomorrow, they told him, and get the shipping on your way. Get the little gill netter. So, okay. And then as he's walking out, the guy says, have you got any money? My dad says, no. He's got, here's $50. I'll put that on you. Give him $50 to buy whatever he needed for himself.
Wow.
And put it on. And then so my dad went fishing for Gilly Brothers for a while.
Wow.
So they were good employees. He was very impressed with them.
And where all did the fishing boats that we're getting for the ice from PCT? Where did they come from?
They could come from Stevenson, around New Westminster, any other place.
And Gillies as well.
Yeah, Gillies, and they would get Well, Gillies, from when I had its own ice. That's what I heard. You know, I never did actually see it going. But Gillies had its own ice. They supplied ice too. And but I think that the ice that PCT supplied was after Gilly Brothers went out of business. Gilly Brothers went out of business, and then they took over the ice.
Okay.
They supplied the ice.
As a longshoreman, did you ever have any interaction with the fishermen? Did you ever buy fish from them or anything like that?
Yeah, the odd time they'd come down to the hall and they'd have a really good fish. You could buy it for $10 a fish or something like that. It was really good. Yeah, they would come by.
And they went to the hall?
They would,
to see if anyone wanted to buy?
Yeah, see if anybody wanted to go down there.
What kind of fish would they be selling?
Salmon, small salmon that I remember. I ever bought some good salmon, sockeye salmon.
Must have been fresh too.
Oh, yeah, just right off the boat, and it was really good. I mean, my wife still talks about the last sockeye salmon I bought at the hall. Isn't there? Are they selling any more down there? Oh, no, they're not. I haven't heard. So,
when you were a kid, did your parents ever buy fish down there, or down at PCT, or Gilly Brothers, or anything like that?
Most likely, but I couldn't tell you for sure. But most likely, they they did, because a lot of fishermen sold right off the boat. You know, you could go down there and buy it right off the boat. And if you want to, you can go right down to Anderson Slough here, right today, and go down and buy it off the boat if you want to. You know.
I did in the last run. It was incredible.
Oh, I'll have to do that.
Yeah.
Salmon's one of my favorite foods.
Yeah.
These guys were exhausted, and they opened it for 24 hours, and these guys had been fishing, and they were cleaning it when you bought it, because they just couldn't keep up. They had so many. It was it's fabulous.
It's good, and the fish tastes really good. You know, it
was brilliant.
It seems like a good segue maybe to ask about King Neptune.
Well, the King Neptune was a well-known restaurant, very high class, and very good food. And they were around for years and years, and they were New Westminster's one and only high-class restaurant. And if you wanted to go out for some special occasion, you went to the King Neptune. And the city treated them really bad. They bought up the docks, you know, and they shut down to go, and the King Neptune was still there. Oh yeah, but we're going to be putting condominiums in like next month. You got to get out. So they forced them out, and so the King Neptune sat on a barge for I don't know years, and they did nothing with the docks, just like it was. And that restaurant could have been going today. So.
Was it a family business?
Yeah.
The King Neptune? Did you know the family at all, or did people know the family that owned it?
The people knew the family. I didn't know it,
Yeah.
but people knew the family, and it was a New Westminster family, from what I understand, who owned it. And from what the stories I heard all that time was all political for some reason, you know.
That they had been.
They were probably with the
from-
wrong party or something, you know. That got in.
When was that?
In the 60s.
In the 60s they
Yeah.
closed?
I'm pretty sure it was the 60s they closed. 60s, early 70s.
And they were seafood? As a
Seafood,
food
and,
that
they,
served?
they got all their fresh fish from the fishermen and seafood, and it was all fresh daily, and you got the best of the best there. And us people could never figure out why. I mean, it brought in so many people. I mean, it was, it was crowded. You had to make reservations to get in there. So if you think of the people that brought into New Westminster
Yeah.
from all around, and they just wanted to get rid of it. So I just presumed they were with the wrong party that was in it at the time.
Did you ever do any particular special occasions there, and anniversaries or anything, dates, anything like that?
No, I was too. No, I didn't. I was in there once, and that wasn't any big thing. But I just go in there and have a meal. And it was like you watched all the longshoremen on the docks working away, and they're going up in the Fraser, and the Sampson going up the Fraser and stuff like that.
Neat.
So it was quite interesting. You always had.
That's great.
So, we, just keep going beyond PCT. What was next after PCT?
There was nothing after PCT. There was a Queensboro Railroad Bridge. That was the 1A. That was their last dock. And their last piece of land wasn't paved, but they put lumber on there. And I remember one guy who was drinking a bit. He was a lift truck driver. He was bringing lumber to the ship. That was his job at 5 o'clock. And he went down to the yard, and the yard was ground. It was bumpy, and there was, potholes, because it was just sand, not sand, but just dirt. And he didn't come back. He just wasn't coming back. And what ship? So we finally sent him. He was drunk, and he had tipped over loads and everything. And finally, he had tipped over so many loads because the ground was uneven, and he was drunk anyway. He'd been drinking. He couldn't get out.
Oh my.
Oh yeah. I won't mention names, but that was one of the days that he couldn't get out.
Goodness.
And was the lumberyard part of PCT?
Yeah, it was PCT's lumber. They had a lumber yard there, and that was the Sandlot, we called it.
And then the other one you had mentioned was the grain elevator.
Yes, well, that was a grain elevator just opposite PCT on the Fraser River.
On the other side.
Yeah, where Fraser Surrey docks are now. And it was made of cement. We would go over there, and we'd load grain from there. And what happens is you're in a hatch of a ship, you put the hose down, and the grain would come down. And after a while, they would stop it, and you'd have 50 guys who would count you going in. And you would either shovel that grain to the wings, and as they were pouring the grain in, and it was dusty and everything else, or else they would do it this way. They would stop it all. What you go down and put the grains in sacks, and then take it and put it in the wing. All depends how the ship wanted it for stabilization.
Okay.
And that was, tough jobs, shoveling all day. And guys, well, maybe it never happened, but we heard the guys got buried because it was in the grain,
Oh yeah.
At different times. So that's what they did. They counted you going in and counted you going out, make sure that they had the same amount coming out.
Because the rumor was that guys had been buried by grain.
Yeah. I don't know if that ever did happen, but that was a rumor, and that's the way they had it. So,
Oh wow.
So it may have happened someplace in the world, But I'll tell you a story. The guy that when they wanted to tear it down, the guy that took the contract to tear it down looked at, that's easy to tear that down. Wrecking ball and smash it down and tear it. And he got the crane and got the great biggest wrecking ball you could think, and it came and hit the side of that grain elevator and bounced off of it.
Oh my.
The grain elevator was made so solid that the wrecking ball didn't even make a dent in anything. And so they got it down, but I can't see how the guy made it. He must have lost a lot of money.
Oh wow.
Because...
So solidly built, hey?
Yeah, it was
Wow.
very solidly built.
Oh my.
When did they take it down?
In the 60s, in the late 60s, you know,
Okay.
in the 60s, and I just don't know the exact year. Don't remember the exact year they took it down. But they took it down, and then they were putting up Fraser Surrey docks and getting that going and stuff.
So they took it down in order to make space for the docks? Do you
Yeah.
Yeah.
They took it down to make space for the dock.
And had it been busy before? Was it a...
No, it never was really busy. You know, in my time down there, I went over there maybe 3 or 4 times, and so it was not busy at all.
Yeah.
And they had another dock upriver on the other side of Petula Bridge, and we never ever did work on that dock. It wasn't under our union. We tried, but it wasn't, and it was I forget what it, but there was a self-loading ships and stuff that went up there,
Uh-huh.
and I just forget the what they loaded, or you know what it was, because we never went there. But it was a deep sea dock. Yes, they are just east of Petula Bridge.
What does that mean, a self-loading ship?
Well, a self-loading ship is you got a conveyor belt and it's put on the conveyor
Oh,
belt
okay.
and it goes up there and it swings around. You got a boom and you can either load it that way. Then in the bottom they got conveyor belts that takes the thing to any hatch it wants. You know.
And how do they arrange the stuff that's going onto the ship if there's no longshoreman packing everything in?
I don't know. I was never there. We'd see it all the time, but we never could get there. And not there anymore for years, but that's the way it was. And that's about the docks on this side. Fraser Surrey docks, they had Johnson's Terminals had that. And they almost run Fraser Surrey into the ground. Because their philosophy was, if our trucks can't haul it, we won't let you in. We won't have you on our docks. So they only wanted cargoes that their Johnson Terminals trucks could haul.
Oh wow! So really limited the
It-
amount of stuff
yeah.
that they could handle.
Yes, they would take in, and they treated the. Tell you a story. They had one ship in there, and they had another ship that they wanted in its place coming in, and so they wanted this ship to move up one berth. Well, so they talked to the captain and explained to him, could he do them the favor of doing this, going up. And the captain says, okay, well, I'll agree with you. And so the longshoreman went up and we did, and they just did it by the winches. We just took the lines up one berth and they just winched it up. And after they did it and the other ship came in, Johnson Terminals gave the captain a bill for $3,000 for moving the ship.
Oh. Oh my goodness!
So that's the way Johnson Terminals. You just about ran.
Wow.
The best thing for ever Fraser Surrey dock was to get rid of Johnson Terminals. That they ran that place. To the ground. There's hardly any work there at all because nobody would work with those people and stuff. And they didn't. They didn't care about anything on rails. He had rail coming in and they had bundles of plywood. Nice, but the rail cars were too wide for him. So we used to brace them so they wouldn't move. And, that way. Then John, that's just too long. And I quit bracing, just drop them in there and get them out of here. So you can imagine what they were like when they got to the end of the road.
Oh, no.
But that's the way Johnson Terminals, that's the way. They didn't care. We told them, what do you expect this? Their bundles may be 8 inches high of plywood, and 4x8 sheets, and they're wrapped so they slide. What are you gonna do? You're gonna put a 4x4 and brace these up so it takes you an extra, half-hour car. But I mean, I don't know what the insurance companies did.
Wow.
Or how, whatever. They just let them go.
So, were they? It sounds like they didn't treat their customers very well. How did they treat people who worked there?
Well, we were 502. It was really, they treated us just the same as anybody else. They didn't, fool around with us or anything, they didn't. If they wanted to do anything, you have to call the hall and have the hall deal with it, whatever. I remember one time with me, I was driving this big lift truck with loading containers aboard a pad ship. And we're partying, and I'm on this lift truck, and I've been drinking, and things are I'm just in the zone. Everything is just going so smooth and so nice, And I noticed the business agent's talking. He's with the head foreman. They're standing there, and they're on the dock, and they're watching what's going on and stuff like that. And nothing. And I remember at 11 o'clock coffee break, I couldn't get out of the seat.
Oh, no.
I had to stay there on coffee break because I was too drunk to get out. And I worked till 1 o'clock, and everything just was going smooth. And I remember the next day I said, Jack Neal, he was the business agent. I said, what are you doing all night at Fraser Street at the pad ship? He said, watching you, waiting for you to do one mistake, and you were fired. But you didn't.
Wow.
And at 11 o'clock, waiting for you to get out of that lift truck, and you didn't. Because I know that I couldn't walk. Or I could just stagger if I was going to get out.
Oh,
so
wow.
I had to sit there.
So they were waiting for something to go wrong,
They were
and
just
then they
waiting.
were going to come in and
Yeah,
get you.
Yeah, they were just going to, and that's why the head foreman, they were just waiting for it. But I was in the zone, everything just went smooth, just everything.
Wow, you were lucky.
Oh, I was
This was moving containers.
Yeah,
So
on a pad ship, Pacific Australia Direct.
okay, right.
And that was a party ship.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, if you didn't have the booze, the Australians had the booze. And they had the bar upstairs. So that's where you spent your time, and, up at the bar. And
And you hung out with the crew and everything?
oh yeah, the crew was good. I don't know how they ever got that ship to Australia, though.
Was that true of any Australian ship or just the pad ships?
Just a pad ship, said I, just a pad ship.
And they were known as like party ships? Or
Yeah, they were known to
So if you got dispatched to a pad ship...
oh, yeah, everybody wanted to work the pad ships. Everybody wanted to work them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you? You say you were moving containers around. Were they? Did Surrey Fraser Johnson? Did they have a portainer, a regular container crane, or was this one of these? Was this a roll-on type of?
It was a roll-on type of ship. Roll-on, roll-off. That's why we drove our forklifts right onto the ship, stowed the container there, and came back. And that's why they were waiting for me. Though I honestly, one mate, one crew guy, this day he's fortunate. The ramp going up, it's maybe 22 feet or 21 feet wide. There's only 6 inches or so on either side. And I'm going up this ramp.
Yeah, sure.
And he's caught and there was just a little hole that he ducked into. And I didn't even know he was there. I already went, that was that night.
Close shave.
Yeah, that was a close shave there.
Yeah. And was that particular shift one where you'd spend time in the bar upstairs in the ship?
Yeah, everybody, you spend time in the bar there in the ship and stuff, and then you'd have to call you out. You go there at lunchtime, and they'd holler, "Come on, okay, get to work, you guys!" And okay, we'll just finish. Call you out and stuff. But no, pad ships were a good ship to work, and we did really good production on that ship. There was nobody that touched us on the coast. American here that could come close to us in production.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's why they went to Vancouver to try that, and we lost in Vancouver for a couple of months, 3 or 4 months, and they came back. There was just no way Vancouver could produce what we could do.
Why do you think that was?
Why I just think we had a better work ethic, better. I really couldn't say, but they, what made us so good. But we had the thought, the mindset. Hey, let's get it going, and and every time it wasn't like we were more eager to get going than, let's say, the foreman. We were eager to get at it, and so they didn't. They just had to direct us. And the same with car ships.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have Pat and the car ship had the same sort of mindset. Get it done as soon as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And the foreman, they didn't have to make you do anything. All they were doing was directing you. There was no, hey, get to work or anything. It was just go.
Lots of self-discipline among the guys.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You just enjoy.
Yeah.
You were always on the edge, driving I drove equipment, and all the equipment you were driving on the edge all the time. I mean, the loads you were lifting they could just barely hold the load.
Ooh, yeah.
And the speed you were going, it couldn't go any faster. And you just was, everything was just going at top speed.
Mm-hmm.
And we would, one of the jobs I liked was, and it was an easy job, was driving a bomb cart.
Mm-hmm.
They'd load you up in the dock, and you'd drive aboard ship and drive on, and then they'd unload you. Then you'd turn around in the ship and drive back. Or I'd be driving a great big Strad carrier, the same way, going to the dock, picking up a load, driving onto the ship, dropping it off, turning around, coming back. Or you drive the forklift on the ship, and everybody was going at top speed. Everybody was going as fast as you could go. The guys there wasn't any wasted movements or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was going really good.
Mm-hmm. So this pad ship down below, was it like a car carrier down below?
Yes, it was all open.
All open?
Yep, down below. One story, one of the
just one deck?
no, you had 1, 2, 5 decks, and it was all open. But you had great big doors that closed when it was finished, and then you have another deck on top. But you could drive, you could work all 5 decks at once if you want, And
There was an interior ramp?
Yeah, interior ramps and stuff.
Yeah.
But one of the crews, now I don't know how true this is, we were talking about, there's no bulkheads in between, just all, and he, what's it like if you ever ran into something, sunk?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like those car ferries, that just, and he said, well, if we ever hit anything at full speed, and we got a hole below the water line, you have a minute and a half to get out. That's what he said. And they were at that time going to, he was telling me then, whether they ever did it or not, have a room up top that all the crew would run to, get into the room, and when it goes down, it would explode and float. The bolts would explode, or they would do something and latch it and it would float away. That would be the only way they would do it. Whether a minute and a half, he was telling me a story, I don't know, but that's the only thing I remember about those. But I wouldn't know how, because they could go pretty fast. Those ships they were made for just. Yeah. But I don't see how they'd ever hit anything, anyways, at full speed.
So one last ship question: were there any ships that went into Vancouver that were like the pad ships? Because the auto carriers didn't go there.
The pad ships went in there for a little while and came back out because they couldn't produce.
Right.
That's what they told us. No.
But there weren't other carriers that were like the pad ships.
I think they were. Eventually. Yeah, I think they were like the pad ships, but I don't remember the names of them. But I think there was other pad ships like the pad ships went into Vancouver, and I don't know how they did with production of Vancouver. We used to work out of Vancouver a lot, and in my opinion, anyways, the work ethic just wasn't there. I mean, us guys would go there. What are you guys doing? But we have our own gangs there. Go into a gang, and we'd be doubling their production, just going slow. At least that's what we thought.
Yeah. During the time you were working in the new West Docks, from 61, 70
Yeah,
Till
72, 75. let's
till
say.
75. So that was the same time that the packaged lumber came in.
Oh yeah, it came in the 60s.
So can you tell us some stories about what it was like to make the change from scows and loose lumber to packaged lumber? How did that change to work for you?
We loved it. I mean, when you didn't have to pack it in and store it aboard ship, and piece by piece, when you can have a package. And it lowered when it first came in. You still had the same gangs, and you had a lift truck, and they just went in. And we had the assassinators first, and we went in and stored it that way. But even with that, it was a way easier job. Packaged lumber, boy, guys wanted that job. That was a good job. And then after the assassinators went out and they got lift trucks down, that was even better. And then they went and they cut the gang size down in the next contract because they didn't need all the guys. And so they cut aside, but still it was a good job. You went in there, and just put in stickers. That's all you did, little stickers between the loads as they planted them down, and that was your job. Well, man, why, that was like heaven. That was great.
And if I remember correctly, the Assassinator was dangerous in some
Very
ways.
dangerous, yes.
Yeah.
Well, Assassinator was as wide as this table and had a roller on top. And you'd plant the load so it balanced on that. And you had two rollers down below. And you'd lock the roller on top of the two rollers and you'd push it into where you want. Then tip the load, the front end down, and then you'd have a guy to unlock the bottom. And you had a rope so that you could give it a pull, to get it started. And you're in the back. Well, once you get it started, the weight of the lumber, that Assassinator shot out the back.
Oh.
And you're in the back, you're watching, you're ready, you're jumping. But I mean, if you're caught, you're a person, that's what we called them, Assassinators, because it was heavy metal. They hit, they weighed quite a weight. It wasn't no light thing. And you couldn't pick it up, so that's how heavy it was. And to hit you, well, then that's it, you're incomparable for a while.
And that was the first attempt to deal with the packaged lumber.
Yeah.
That you came up with the Assassinator.
Yeah, they came up with the Assassinator. And, on paper that would work great.
Was anyone ever actually injured using an Assassinator?
Yes, I heard of people being injured on the Assassinator, but I don't know.
Man, that'd be scary.
I wasn't around when they actually did it. And what a packaged lumber was good. I mean, it was on the dock. And one thing you did notice, and when it was loose lumber, they used up every little inch of that patch. They didn't want, everything was tight. Everything was packaged lumber, they just put it in there. They didn't care about how tight it was, they would just get it in there. So the whole idea of a tight stove went by the way, because, it was never as tight like hand stove and stuff like that. And we used to do rib stove. And that's when you would take a, 3x9, 20 feet long, 24 feet long, walk to the ribs. That would mean, after you've been up 10 feet, you're up off the deck of the hatch, and then you'd put the lumber down in that little 3-foot square. We filled that with lumber. I mean, we filled every nook and cranny, and you'd go up in the front of the bow of the ship where you used to have their chains and everything else, take that out and fill that up with stuff. Fill everything you could think of.
Wow.
With cargo. And that's the way they wanted it. We used to do timbers one time. And we put a timber in. We put a floor in of timbers. And it's so tight that when it got to England, they couldn't get it out. And they got the foreman who put it in there, flew him over to England to tell him how to get those timbers out.
Wow.
Because he couldn't get them out.
Oh my goodness.
Because he didn't want them all damaged,
Yeah.
Sure.
Would that have been a point of pride that they couldn't get the ship? Your
Well, yeah, well,
loading
that
was
guy,
so tight
yeah,
that
yeah,
they couldn't get it unpacked.
that was a good pride too. Yeah, that was a story we heard. No, I wasn't on that job or stuff like that, but that's was the story on the beach that happened.
Yeah.
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 I loved your. Tell us about your stories from the beach. You started off with parties on the docks. Will you tell us about that?
Okay, well, parties on the dock. We would, start off at the dock. Okay. PCT, I'll tell you just one party at PCT. One of the guys, I don't know what his names, was over. That's when the strippers started to come in.
Oh yeah.
And he went over, and this is in the afternoon, to the dunny and talked to the strippers. Come on down and do a strip tease in the lunchroom on the docks. Well, a few of them came down, and everybody that starts to work, there's nobody working and stuff, and the ships are there, and finally the superintendent's phone up the hall and says, "Are you guys on strike or what? There's nobody working. Everybody is. Nobody is what?" And so Jack Liel, he's in business, he comes down there to see, and he goes go up the lunchroom to see, here's noise, and goes in there, and they take him and they lock him in the bathroom. While the show's going on.
Oh my god.
And so that was the afternoon was shot there,
And had they been working at the dunny?
Yeah, they'd been working at the dunny, these strippers.
Yeah.
And I guess, come on down, we'll do a good show for the boys on the beach. One for Susui Dock, one stripper, and got up, and some guy got her, well, I won't mention name, this guy got her and took her to the dock, and we're working on a ship, and he gets there parks right sort of beside the ship. She gets up, and he turns his stereo on, and she does a striptease on his roof, And,
Oh my god, right beside the ship?
oh yeah, she'd come up on the ship and do her thing on the ship and everything else. So that's another party,
So when these ships came calling, I assume these guys on the ships that had been at sea for a while, they were probably interested in hookers as well as strippers.
Oh yeah, there was there's hookers that we all knew that was always on the ship all the time and stuff. They hung around the Dunny and the Windsor, and we go down there and they made some good money.
They would go onto the ships?
Oh yeah, they all go onto the ships and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And where were the Danny and the Windsor?
The Windsor was right where New West SkyTrain station is. They tore it down to put that there. And the Windsor is where they built, they still have it there, but they built a new building there on the corner of Begbie and Columbia.
Okay.
That's where the Windsor was.
Okay, so on the Windsor was on the river side of Columbia.
Yes.
Okay.
Begbie and the Columbia.
And there's the
Dunsmuir was up 8th Street.
Yeah.
Maybe 200 feet up 8th Street.
Yeah, there's still a liquor store there, or there was.
Yeah. And you used to have the Fraser Cafe. It's part of the Windsor.
Will you tell us the story about drinking with the old timers?
Well, drinking with the old timers, these are the guys that were in the war. And they were tough. I mean, us young guys, we thought we were pretty tough when it came to in the bar. Fight. We thought we were pretty tough. You never fooled around with those guys. No, they were really tough. And if you sat and drank with them on the docks or anything else, they looked after you. You never had to worry about getting in trouble or whatever, because they looked after you. And they drank every day. These guys, they drank every day, and you go in the sun shack with them, and they were good. They were tough. I remember Baxter. He was this guy. He was, the bully in town. And he going to show Baxter a thing or two. And Baxter said, "Okay, son, let's go." He says, "I tell you one thing. I don't know how to hurt you. All I know is how to kill you." And the guy just said, and we said, "Yeah." And he said, "Okay, we won't." Because Baxter was a commando, going behind the lines and kill whoever
Wow.
was, he was ordered to kill.
And would they tell you stories and stuff while you were
Oh,
sitting around and drinking and chatting?
Yeah. Lots of their own stories there. A lot of the guys were in Hong Kong, and they were prisoners of war for the Japanese for 5 years or something, and they hated the Japanese, And one time a ship came in, and I didn't realize it because I just didn't look, and we went on the ship, and what? They'd flown the Canadian flag upside down. You ever put it on just by mistake?
Yeah.
And not one, and I was saying not one longshoreman would go on that ship at all until they put the flag right.
Did they eventually fix it?
Oh yeah, they fixed it, or else there'd be no work.
Was there ever a tension between the Japanese crew members and the old timers that say were in the war?
Yeah, there was. Mulvaney, I don't know what, there was a bunch of Japanese around the hatch. And he came over and he said something in Japanese. And they went, he never saw him. He didn't come on deck at all.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what he said. I remember one foreman trying to get Mulvaney to work, and he says, "Look, for 5 years, a Jap with a bayonet couldn't get me to work. Do you think you're going to get me to work?"
Oh my. Were the stories they would tell, would those be mostly about the war, do you think? Or would they tell
Yeah, a
you
lot of
stories
times,
Yeah.
about the war. And about the concentration camps and the prisoner of war camps and stuff like that. They went through really, really hell, Other ones, they came out of there, and they were, one guy, he was telling me, he was 18 when he got caught in Hong Kong, was it, or something like that. And he weighed, at 18 he was in good shape, and he weighed 180 some pounds, and he says, and I was in good shape. And he came out of there 5 years later 87 pounds.
Oh, wow.
So, and other ones came out there, they were all in the 80s and 90 pounds, so they must have had, they got full pensions. All the prisoners from Japan, Japanese prisoners of war, they came out, they had full pensions besides whatever they made longshoremen.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so they had a full pension.
So there's, there's guys who drink and they're angry and it's not pleasant to be around them, and then there's guys who drink and they're having a good time. And so was the drinking fun, happy drinking, or was there angry drinking?
Most of the drinking that I ever was involved in was happy drinking, having a good time and drinking. The odd time it would be, anger drinking. But otherwise, no, it was mostly good times.
Yeah.
Do you think it was kind of an outlet even from the home life and that kind of thing? Like, I'm thinking about the veterans and talking about the war with you guys. Maybe they didn't talk about that at home so much, and it was an outlet.
Maybe it was an outlet, and you might talk among themselves, Because the 5 of them I knew were in the same concentration camp together in Japan. So, they had a lot of,
A lot to talk about.
A lot to talk about,
And how about for you guys, thinking about going home to wife and kids and that kind of thing? Was drinking and hanging out kind of socially at work, was that a nice outlet for you to let loose a little bit?
No, it let loose, but really, no. It wasn't very good for family life, the drinking. Because what happens? You get work all day, and you go to the bar for a beer. Well, before you know it, it's 9 o'clock. You got in there at 5, and you try and drive home.
Were all these guys married, or were a lot of these guys single? Or?
No, most of them are all married.
All married?
Yeah, married at that time. It's single guys, single guys were there. I don't think they had, because the only time was sitting in the bar, I guess, that was, otherwise they didn't have any other life,
Were there lots of divorces, all, or marital problems and that kind of thing that you heard about?
You hear about divorces and stuff, but really, he didn't really talk. What you heard was the funny stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like one guy, he's a foreman, and he says he never has any problems with his wife and drinking. And yeah. So he says, I just go home, make all the noise I want, walk up to her when she's sleeping in bed, pat her in the bum, say, come on, honey, and she pretends she's asleep. So no problem.
And that solved all the problems for him.
So that was a foreman.
Yeah.
And so you guys,
Oh yeah.
foremen would join the parties?
Yeah, they were in a union too, unionized foremen.
Oh, okay.
They had their own local, but they were unionized.
They became part of 514 eventually?
Yeah, all 514 eventually. You know, I lost a few days' work over them starting to 514 because they went on strike to get ratified as a union, and so we would work. It was fun though, 'cause they had superintendents who didn't know anything about longshoremen to try and be your foreman. So we would say, hey, what do you want us to do? Hang set the gear. Okay, where? What gear? You know, do you want it on the riverside? Do you want it on, this side? Whatever. and tell us what prevented guys would tell us what to do. And they didn't know what to do, and so they'd fire us, We'd say, okay, then we'd go.
And that was a bit of a laugh for you guys.
It was.
Watching them try to figure it all out.
Try to figure. They didn't know anything, and we just worked as directed. And you had to direct us. Grab that guy, grab that rope, do this, do that. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
It's so funny, the foreman got the local and got unionized, but it was fun.
So were there fun strikes or fun job actions and less fun strikes and job actions?
Well, we were tight. If I tell you, if a foreman got fired, a foreman fired a guy, and for not a good reason, that the guy said, everybody would follow him off the ship. And that happened. Not often, but.
What would be not a good reason to fire someone?
If the guy was working hard and the foreman just didn't like him or something, him. There's all kinds of different reasons that would probably happen. Fire the hatch tender for something. The foreman and the hatch tender get an argument, and you're fired. Okay, come on, boys, we're fired. And as he goes down to the next hatch, hey, McGraw's gang is fired. Oh well, we'll follow him, and pretty soon. So that's the strength you had there too.
Right. And in those cases, if you all walked off a ship, was it quick work of getting back onto the guy would get rehired for the day?
No. I remember one time. This was in New West, but this was in Vancouver. We were over there. And we had a winch driver and from the West, and he was an ornery guy anyway. And all his life was ornery. Anyways, we're doing a general cargo, cardboard boxes put on pellets. And he says, boys, send up the water pail with the next load. Well, we're busy, we didn't do it. Come on, boys, send up next load. And we're busy, we didn't do it. So he comes down, he picks up my load on my side, picks it up, smashes against the Coleman, gives the direction, goes over to the other side and knocks their load all over the place.
Oh my.
Then he says, give me the water pail. So we said, well, he's unsafe, we're walking off, we're not working with him. So we quit working, and business agents and stuff came down from Vancouver. Well, we told him a story. Oh no, you've got to work, go back to Swinard. Well, if you're not going back to work, we're going to get fired. Well, that's okay. So we were fired. So we all start walking down the gangway onto the dock, and they changed their minds. Okay, boys, come on back. We'll change the winch driver and stuff and send him away. We says no. We said, we fired us. Now you got to rehire. Go through the hall again and rehire another gang. And we're finished. We walked off. Went home. And nothing happened over that because the winch driver was. We wouldn't work with him under that, just doing that.
We should talk about New West.
Okay.
Some of the other items. you have the list here.
Yeah, I wanted to ask before we move on from the stories. I wanted to ask about getting Kruger high on grass down the hatch. Will you tell us that story?
Well, Kruger was a head foreman. He had a pipe. He always smoked a pipe, and he come down and to the hatch, and we see what was going on and checking. And that's just when grass was coming in, and we had some grass. Cody Twaits and I, and he's running out and he says, "What's this new tobacco you got? You know, try it." Because he's always said, "We'll give you this." So he took it and he packed his pipe, and he smoked it. Well, he was starting to get high. He was talking, and he was going up the ladder, and we got worried he couldn't make it up the ladder. Head foreman higher gas, and this was in the '60s. He didn't know. It was all new to him.
Was smoking weed as prevalent as drinking? Did that happen as often? Or
No. But it is. It didn't. Just with a few guys, it did, but it wasn't. We were a little bit older than the hippie people coming.
Oh yeah.
And it was my guys, so we just didn't do the. Yeah, did opium cure. I could tell you. I won't tell you a story with that, but. Yeah,
About opium?
Opium cured grass. Oh,
Oh, opium cured grass. Oh my goodness. Where would that have come from?
I don't know.
Didn't ask.
No. But it was a. I never did it again. That was my last time.
Oh my. Okay, so yeah, we'll talk
No,
about...
keep going, because I see there's actually
There's a
quite
few
a lot.
good ones, yeah. Will you tell us about getting drunk in 15 minutes? How did you manage that, Dean?
Well, it was a Saturday, and the guy who signed me in to membership, he's my partner, we're in the Slings, and he had hidden a bottle of 180 overproof rum someplace, and he just found it that day at his home, and he brought it to work in his big coffee thermos. And we're sitting in the Slingman shack at 5 o'clock. Little lad, he says, "Have a drink, Dean," and he pours it in, and I'm okay, down I go with his coffee. And boy, it was strong, but I get up with him and we go hook up a load, package lumber. Come on back, another big coffee thing. Another one, Dean. Home, I drink that down. We go up and hook up another load. I come back, and he's got a third one there ready for me to drink. And I'm, tough kid. I drink that one down, and it's 15 minutes about that, and I couldn't get up to hook up the other load.
No.
And it was in the summertime, and I don't remember anything until it was dark. And the ship had a Russian. It was the first female Russian captain.
Oh wow.
Ever come in there. And she's down in the thing checking. Well, I think I'm God's gift to women. And I'm at this is what they tell me anyways. I'm not doing anything else. And whatever. And head foreman of the ship, he comes down there and he said, this is at night. And he says, "Dean, are you okay?" And stuff. And he said, "Yeah, I'm okay." And can you make it home? He says, "Okay." And he went and got this Gordy Simonton. "Come on, you drive Dean home." And Gordy says, "Okay, I'll drive him home," because I was just right out of it. And he says, and besides that, you're fired. But he made sure I got home and everything.
Oh, that's good. And so was it the captain that drove you home?
No. The captain, no, it was the head foreman.
Oh, the head foreman drove you home?
No, Gordy Simonton drove me home.
Oh, I see.
The head foreman arranged it all.
Right.
And then he fired me.
Okay.
And so that was the fastest I was ever drunk. And it just hit me. I couldn't get up, and I don't remember nothing until it was dark. And this was in the summertime, in July. Mm-hmm. So I was out for a long time.
What would happen would you just go off into a quiet corner somewhere and let it wear off a little bit in those cases where you couldn't work?
Sit in the shack.
Guys
and
would just, yeah.
Just sit there and not get up. You're just out. He really wakes up again,
Yeah.
And I guess I woke up and I was still drunk, and I was, I was going to make a pass at this captain. I don't know. Well, I don't remember very much of that. I just, guys, I heard about it all the way through. Maybe the stories got even bigger.
Was that a story that got passed around the dock? You hitting on the Russian captain?
Yeah, hitting on the Russian Russian captain there.
Was that big news when that ship came in and it turned out to be a woman captain? Like, did guys hear that there was
Oh
a
yeah,
woman captain on
it
the
was
ship?
it was big news.
Yeah.
You know, that was that, and so that was my 15-minute drunk, and I hadn't drinking all that day or nothing. I was sober as a judge at 5 o'clock and passed out at quarter after.
And you never thought of turning it down, eh? You didn't. You
Oh,
wouldn't
no.
in those cases. You'd
No, you just
step
kinda-
up and.
You step up in those cases, especially with the old timers, and you're going to stick with them. You're going to they're drinking under the table like anything, you know.
Yeah.
When you guys drank and had parties on the docks or whatever, did you ever have to conceal? You know, like if you go to the beach these days, you have like those red cups that you pour your beer into. Did you guys ever have to conceal your drink like that?
Yeah, we concealed it. Just out of respect. Mm-hmm. You didn't want to rub the foreman's nose in it or the superintendent's nose in it, so you concealed it. But they knew what it was anyway. But
Yeah.
just out of respect, you know, you didn't rub their nose in it. So,
And then that was just so that they wouldn't get in trouble or
yeah,
anything
they
like
didn't
that
have
because of
to, you know, because I mean, if they didn't see you drinking or see the booze, then they didn't, and anything happened, well, that was okay. But if they saw you drinking and knew you were drinking and saw it, and anything happened, the onus is on them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why didn't you fire it? Why didn't you stop it and stuff like that? So out of respect, you just, you know, that was the way.
How did they stop the drinking?
The old guys that did all the drinking retired. And McIntyre, he drank every day I ever knew him. And the day he retired, he quit drinking. He never drank. Nobody to drink with. And he's, you know, and that group, they just retired. And he didn't have the... We had McIntyre's son drank himself to death. He was, he had everything. He had it all. He drank himself to death. Good looks, pilot, license, plane. He had it all. And drank through it all the way. Family, everything, just threw it all away.
No.
And guys tried to help him and everything else, and he was a nice guy. You know, he says, you can be nice to me, but he says, even when he was right down, had no place to stay and stuff like that, guys would come, yeah, but I'm going to be drinking. Well, you can't drink in my house. Well, then no. So he'd rather stay on the street and drink. And he was in his 40s, you know.
Oh, wow.
And he just was...
Would that happen often? The guys would, I mean, it seems like you were talking about driving, say, the forklift at the maximum speed it can go. Was it similar with drinking? Like you'd stay right up at the level of doing some pretty hard drinking, but wouldn't go over the edge like McIntyre's son did?
Yeah, I only know really 3 guys that really went over the edge. The other guys would drink, and you would sipping whiskey, you know. You just sip it, and you have a buzz on. And the old guys that you drank with, they had a buzz on, but they never got, you know, drunk on the job. But they never were sober. They had a buzz all the time, and that's what they sort of taught us guys. You know, I mean, you drink but have a buzz and sipping whiskey.
So it changed more because the guys retired than because of any kind of like change in the way the work was organized or something. Like that.
No, in my opinion, no. Just the guys that did the drinking and stuff retired, and that was it.
Yeah.
And the guys that came on, you know, well, they didn't drink as much as you're drinking, you know. And you're drinking on the bar or something like that. My generation, we did all drinking, but then at the time you get out of your 20s, then, you know, families come in, people just didn't drink anymore.
Yeah.
They were there to make the money. And it became, the money got so good that you didn't miss a day's work or stuff like that, you know, because it was good money. I mean, you couldn't justify ever missing a day's work, because compared to other people along shore, the money was really good.
What's the story about Bob throwing the phone off the ship?
Yeah, he's Bob Plekas. He's the guy that he had to kick off. He was drinking too, trying like that. And safety, you can kick off the beach. The union can kick you off in the company for safety, and the union if non-payment of dues.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Plekas paid his dues, but the phone was for safety. For calling an ambulance or anything, you had to have a phone.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on the ship, and we had it. And he's drunk, and he got mad, and he ripped the phone off and threw it in the river. Well, that was it.
Oh no.
I mean, the union could get him there. We got him, and he was off.
Oh
Never
wow.
to come back. And he could have hung around and been drunk and everything. He was a drunk and a fighter and everything else, but that was it.
And you had a little section about characters down on the docks. Will you tell
yeah.
us about some of those characters? I see here Big Len, Ted Phillips, Johnny Horton,
Well,
these guys,
yeah.
Carl, Roger.
Yeah. Big Len, I was his partner, and I met him when he was 59, and he was still the strongest man I ever met. And we'd
And
have
was he the really tall guy that you
Tall
told us about
guy,
last
yeah.
time?
the tall guy, and I told you some stuff about him.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you one other story about him. When he was 64, before he retired, he was working on the slings, easy job, not down below the hard jobs. And there was a big old ship's pulley block, and it was about that big, and made of iron, and
Like
it was
meter across.
what I mean. And me and I was a hatch, and the another guy was a winch driver, and we put the hook down, and we could barely lift this thing up on an angle because it was resting on the deck of the ship to get the hook under, and it had to go on the dock and on a pallet board.
Right.
And so the foreman's there, and Len's down there, and we got probably about 8 of us. The gang were going to watch Len wrestle with this big block. I mean, a thing. I don't know how heavy it was, but it was well over 100 pounds. Big, heavy, and awkward and stuff. And so the foreman just said, "Don't lay it on the dock. Keep up about 2 feet, off the dock, and see if he can pull it off the hook, And Len's talking to his partner, and I gotta get up and I gotta show you how I did it, because he's talking like I'm talking to you, and I yelled down, "Hey Len, put this block on a pellet board." "Okay, Dean." He's talking, telling a story, and I stop it. He goes over, grabs the hook with this hand, picks it up over this hand, walks over, and lays it down.
Oh my.
And this guy's 8 of us on the rail of the ship. Look at this. What do? You shake your head.
Oh my
Just,
goodness.
That's just how strong he was. Just amazing. One of the Mason guys. It was strong. Bill Krisky is strong too. He picked up when people would always say, "How much can you lift?" And these bars of lead, 112-pound bars a piece.
Mm-hmm.
And he picked up 7 of them.
Whoa.
And carried them over, out and down. And that is what he did. He was a really big. He used to be a wrestler, I think, and he was really, really big man. And you had some really big men there. You didn't fool around with it all.
Were guys competitive about how much they could lift and that kind of thing? How much weight they could-
Guys. Well, in a friendly sort of way,
Yeah.
You got a few big guys in a crew, and okay, I can lift this, and I can lift that, and stuff, And so.
Did anyone ever hurt themselves lifting something that was too heavy?
Not that I know of. Except that when I tell you about Bill Krisky, he got cancer of the back,
Oh.
the small back, and he died of that.
Mm.
And I always in the back of my mind thought maybe picking up that big weight did something to his back that started to cause, But
Right.
maybe it didn't. Maybe that was just something in my mind.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, there were some really, really big guys. Ted Phillips, he was a wrestler, ex-wrestler, and he was on the other side of Len. Me and Len and there was 4 guys: Ted Phillips and Johnny Horton, me and Len, And then we'd always have 2 extra guys come out of the hall because casual. We were steady in the gang. And Ted Phillips was big like Len, but he was strong, but there was no comparison. But he was a big, strong guy too. He had a big reputation of the things he did. And Johnny Horton was a small guy, but big, well set. His
Solid.
dad was solid like anything. Ted Phillips could put his end up of a 3x9 at 20 feet long, 24 feet long, and Johnny Horton would have to stand up there and throw it up, and Johnny would throw it up bare feet all day long, throw his end up. And Johnny was maybe 5'2" or something like that,
Oh my goodness.
but about that wide.
Yeah.
His dad was a head foreman. Lance Horton was his dad. Lance Horton was a big guy. His dad was big, maybe 6'4", big, huge guy. And Johnny was 5, but he was just as broad as his dad was, but just not as tall. Yeah. And
Do you think it was harder for the smaller guys to prove themselves, kind of? When they
it
must have been when they started out. You'd have
yeah.
to demonstrate that you could.
Yeah, you had. If you couldn't do the job, they would just replace you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were hurt or something like that, and but otherwise, if you're new and you can't do the job, they just replace you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Did you find any difference between the generations of guys? Like when younger guys came on, were the older guys that were in the war and stuff, would they have tended to be big, strong guys and that kind of thing?
Yes. The older generation were big, strong guys because it was all hand stove, all.
Right.
And what happened is the younger generation, there wasn't much hand stove, they could handle the job until they didn't quit.
Yeah.
Because with Longshore, when I started, within the first 6 months, 8 months, you knew whether you were going to stay or not. Because if you could handle the job.
So it would be that the guys who weren't quite as strong used to quit, and then that didn't have to happen anymore once it was more machines and that kind of thing.
Once it was more machines,
Yeah.
And they could operate machines, and the jobs got easier. Like I believe, like half the guys working there now wouldn't have made it in my day.
Mm-hmm.
If they started in 1960, they wouldn't have made it
Mm-hmm.
because there's no women could have made it.
Mm-hmm.
So the women didn't even try. But if you wanted to try, okay, and can do the job. But no, they just couldn't do it.
Did lots of women come on to try? And
No. Only
a few, or
just a few, handful.
And how long would they usually last?
The ones that I knew, they wouldn't last a shift.
Oh yeah.
They'd come down there and see what had to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Or the hall they wouldn't get out. The hall would know that you can't handle it. They wouldn't even get a shift,
Oh yeah.
because you just can't handle. Like with us kids, they would pick us. I mean, they knew the type of job that they were dispatching, and can you handle the job? Okay. And if you couldn't handle it, the dispatcher would miss you and, hey, you're going to work today. You're going to work, because they knew the type of job. And the guys who were in there that they knew couldn't handle it, why send them out?
Mm-hmm.
Just have to replace them and get them fired. You wait till an easier job comes along or something. So the dispatcher had, he had a bit of discretion who he dispatched. This is when you're beginning. Afterwards, when you got your first job and you showed that you could handle it, well, then there was, you took it whatever.
Right.
You were in the system.
Yeah.
Right.
But before you get out in the system, he had the discretion to.
Did anybody ever? There must have been people who were desperate to get their first job. Did anybody ever you ever see anybody sort of trying to do anything they could to get one?
Yeah, you heard about it, buying a bottle for this and buying a bottle for that, but actually knowing it actually happened or anything like that, no. But you hear the odd rumor about this and that. Whether it was true or not, I don't really know.
Yeah.
And it never bothered me. It never, never came to me that because I was being in the hall all the time, and you know exactly where you were, and nobody got ahead of you. So
once you were registered,
and then it just, if you made it up to to the wicket, whoever made it up to the wicket the fastest. And then after that, the guy had the discretionary who to pick. Now, that guy could have bought a bottle or something or whatever, I don't know. But usually, who would get the best would be a member's son. You know, you're Joe so-and-so's son. Yeah, you're going to work today, so-and-so. You know, and that.
So they'd get in a bit faster than...
Yeah. Member's sons got in faster. That's just the way it was, and you accepted that, and that's it.
Did that make it any harder for people who were immigrating in from different countries to get in? Because obviously they wouldn't have the generational...
Same as me. I didn't have any family.
Right, yeah.
So it was just the same as me. And I didn't consider it hard, you know. I just, you accepted the fact that my friends who were members' sons, they're going to get ahead of me, and that's just the way it is. And you accept it. That's the way you go on from there. You know that your time was coming, and my time came, and okay. And with my son, I took him down there and got him on the board in the same way, and you know.
Did your son grow up to be a longshoreman? Like that was that his job that he did for his life?
Yeah, he was in university.
Oh yeah.
Computer science, and he went longshoreman.
After he was finished the degree?
No, I didn't even know until his last birthday why he quit. He got kicked out of Unit Simon Fraser.
Oh no!
No, he went and he hacked into the professor's computer and got all the answers or something for the test or something like that.
Oh my God!
So he just told me that longshoreman's way better. So he didn't tell me until last June 18th. His birthday. We're out, and he told me.
Now's the time, he thought, I guess.
I guess that was the time after.
What year was he born?
69.
Okay. Yeah. And there's so many guys who had their sons, who kind of recommended to their sons that they go on longshoring. Was that something that you wanted your son to do? Did guys feel like that's a good job for their...
Yes, I did. I looked around and all the other jobs he could get, and it was good. Like my son's longshoreman, his wife's longshoreman, and they have a good life. I mean, the last year I worked, my income was $187.
Wow.
But I worked 7 days a week. Longshoreman, my son works 7 days a week. But he only works 4 hours a day. And he's off, so he works in the morning. And his wife she's in a member, so she's got to do the 8 hours a day.
She's not a member yet?
No.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is that how they met? Was she a
No, they met.
How did she get into it?
I was the longest commuter to work in the industry.
Oh, wow.
I had when I was 40, I had, I guess, my midlife crisis or something. I had, years ago, before that, in the 70s, I got $1,000 income tax back.
Wow.
And what I was going to do, I was going to buy a stereo. My wife, at that time, she was from Saskatchewan. She just got a Saskatchewan newspaper, and it showed land, 80 acres and this land cheap. She says, go up to St. Paul here in Alberta and buy some land with that, and we'll have some land. Well, I figured, great, there's a good drunk. So I go up there on the train and get up there, and I'm drinking and having a party in St. Paul. And I thought, well, I better go, and see what, so I can come back and say I tried.
Yeah.
And so I would get a real estate person, is there any land here? He says, well, I said, I got $1,000. What do you got for $1,000? And he showed me 80 acres.
Wow.
And he trapped me. I said, okay, I'll buy it. Then that's good. So I bought it for $1,000. Came back home drinking. I had such a hangover. I told my wife that. Walking of the train, motion sickness. That's why I'm sick. But I was sick for 2 days.
Oh my goodness!
Such a hangover. But we got that land. And that was when I was in. Before then, probably 1970. Anyways, when I was 40, when we were talking, and like, why don't we go out there and have a farm, have a ranch? And I was listening on the radio as I was working with Pacific Western Airlines. They were having a deal where you could return flights to Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was for $60 or $70. And I'm thinking, boy, I could go back and forth for $60 and live up there. I talked to the wife and she's, oh, let's give it a try. Sold my house here, rented here, went up there. My brother-in-law, he was a carpenter contractor. I talked to him. We got plans for the house, and okay, he's going to come up there. I'm paying him good money, and I arrange everything. I go to pick him up, and he says he's changed his mind. So I go up there myself, and I have to hire guys to put in the foundation, and I built a log house up there on 80 acres.
Oh.
And that's another big story, that whole thing, the whole year. But anyways, I would drive 2.5 hours to the Edmonton Airport International, fly an hour and a half down here, get into my car here, and go to work.
Oh my God.
At West Shore. Then I would stay down here with my mom and dad for 5 days, and then I would fly back. But I was home 17 days a month.
Wow.
Which was good. Mm-hmm. I was home there because I would take my holidays and I'd bank overtime and bank it and arrange it in such a way. And then
Bundle them up?
and I would buy a used plane tickets at one time because I had to go one fly here, a ticket to fly to home, and then the return. Then I had to arrange them. I had to have the tickets all mixed up so I would use one ticket for one way and another ticket for another way because, and it took me a while, but I got everything all figured out. And for 5 years, I did it for 5 years.
For 5 years, you did that commute, eh?
Yeah. And I was still doing it. I enjoyed it. But my son, our nearest neighbor was a mile and a half away. Mm-hmm. A mile and a half. I was a mile and a half driveway. My driveway was a mile and a half long.
Wow.
Into the bush. And my son sent him down to New Orleans to college down there. And but that's where he met his wife, up there in a small town in Elk Point, and that. And so that was it. And so I didn't want to leave the wife there all alone,
Mm-hmm.
So we decided we'll sell a place. And
Right.
ended up, and so that's another big long hassle story with that selling that place. But anyways, that was it. And I'll tell you one thing, my son, he was 15, he really impressed me with his integrity. The people, there was a gas station, at 15 he managed a gas station, a convenience store, a laundromat, and a car wash place. He managed them all. And the convenience store was the only place where you could buy girly magazines. And he told the owner, when I manage it, I don't sell those girly magazines. And it's a town of 1,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And the owner says, okay. So the whole town knew that when Shane was on, that was from after school to midnight, so many nights a week, you couldn't buy any girly magazines because he wouldn't sell them to you.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, the integrity he had at 15, that really impressed me.
Yeah.
Because I know myself at 15, I was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
So that was that.
And were you proud when he went on to become a longshoreman? Like when he started?
Yes. I got him down there. We went on the ship together, and he worked in one hatch, I worked in the other. And they asked me if I wanted to work with him on that. And I started to think whether it was good or bad in the future. But he said, oh, your dad had to show you something, or you want to start on your own. And like everybody else, we have to work. So I said, no, I'll work on my own. And there was hands to work. I didn't have to. And he went and worked on his own. And I thought that would be the best way to get him into it, not be like a daddy's boy had to show you,
Yeah.
So that's, whether that was right or wrong, I don't know. That's a decision I made then. And that.
Did you ever work with him? Go on, like later on, or?
Yeah, we worked together, and
How was that?
Oh, it was good. I enjoyed working with him. It was good. We've had lots of grandfathers, fathers, and sons working together.
Wow. Was there ever anyone who was disappointed that their son didn't want to be a longshoreman if they turned it down, or?
Yeah, there was guys that were disappointed that their son, because what did they do? I mean, there's not much better jobs. I mean, I can't think of it, for what you do. You can't think of a better job.
Mm-hmm.
The money you make, the freedom. I mean, longshore, and their eyes start rolling, because you can choose the day you want to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose the shift you want to go to work in that day. You can choose your job.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get on the job, you can wheel and deal with the foreman how long you want to stay on the job.
Mm-hmm.
And still get paid. I mean, is there another job like that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and nobody cares if you can go away for 6 months as long as you pay your dues. Nobody cares if you don't. And you come back, you're right back there again.
Mm-hmm.
Same place, There's always somebody to replace you. And so you can take a holiday or a sabbatical as long as you want.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you pay your dues, that's all they care about. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, for freedom and stuff that you have,
Yeah.
it's just it's amazing what we've done for ourselves. I mean, sometimes I have to pinch myself,
So guys wanted their sons to have that same
Yeah,
kind of life,
yeah.
The freedom and the
Yeah,
good
the
money.
freedom and the good money and whatever.
Do you think there
Just
were
to
guys that didn't want to be a longshoreman just because that's what Dad did, and they didn't want to do the same
yes,
thing?
Yes. That's the same thing. And I mean, my dad was a carpenter, and he was
Right.
And I didn't want to be a carpenter because that's what he was. I wanted to be on my own, independent. So I mean, the guys that didn't want to be a longshoreman, I can understand. They were young, they wanted to be on their own and not have Dad look over their shoulder or something.
Do something different.
Do something different. And I've talked to lots of guys, a few guys since then through the years, and they've all said, yeah, they regretted not going. I got one guy going. I convinced one guy to go back. His dad was a longshoreman, and he convinced him to go back just about 4 years ago. And he went back, and
He was glad he did?
yeah, very glad. He was 40 when he went back.
Why did you try and convince him?
Well,
Why did you take that on?
I knew the guy, and he was driving a tow truck, and working on it. Says, no, you can become longshoreman and have a good job and a good security, and 6 years from now, or 8 years, you're a member or whatever else, and you're secure. You got a pension, and everything. You're driving a tow truck. You're 40 years old. You got no pension. You got nothing.
Mm.
What are you doing? I said. When you can do this, your dad's a member. You can get in. And same time, and then when the draw came up, and he got the application, I said, "No, take it and go." So he did, and we got in, and he's happy,
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if he doesn't want to work, he doesn't have to. He can do his own pace. I mean, if he's, everything is once you get the application, everything is up to you.
Right.
The amount of money you make, everything. Because if you want to work 1 day a week, okay. If you want to work, 5-6 days a week, that's okay. Whatever. Mm-hmm. It's all up to you.
And what about guys that only had daughters? Did they ever think of
guys have got
telling
daughters.
their daughters to
yeah.
be longshoremen?
There's families there with their daughters and everything else in there. Oh yeah. Now, before then, no.
Mm-hmm.
In my time, it was no. But now, the last 10 years, yeah, you've got.
Did they see it as a good place for daughters to be, somewhere that they wanted their daughters to be as well?
Yeah, it was good. The men treat the women quite well there.
Mm-hmm.
They're almost they protect the women.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You have a daughter?
No,
Oh.
just a son. I have one daughter. Yeah, she's in Toronto. She's my adopted daughter. She's in Toronto right now. She's living there, living a good life.
Mm-hmm.
If she wanted the longshoreman, we had it up here, I would have. But the last time I got an application, it was given to me. She was not my grandchildren, and her weren't old enough to take it.
Right.
Now I'm retired, so now I don't get no applications.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You got an application every time it opened?
Yeah, I would get it not like a use for my family.
Mm-hmm. So you
I used it for my wife, and she didn't. She liked to be a nurse, and she didn't want to do it, but she just did it to be nice to me. So that was a waste.
yeah.
But then there was nobody else to give it to at that time because the grandchildren were too young. My daughter was too young.
So what did you do with those applications?
With those applications, I gave it to my wife, and she didn't, to use it. That was it. And she didn't want it. Nursing was her thing, and she loves nursing.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't want
And
it.
so if there was no one to give the application to, did you just recycle it or
No, I'd give it to
give
someone.
it? Oh, yeah, just
Yeah.
pick someone else out?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My son would know somebody who,
Oh, yeah.
to give it to that he wanted.
Did guys ever think about selling them, like at the times when
Yeah,
it was
I
hard
heard the
to get in?
rumors that they're worth $10,000.
Wow.
They've been offered 10. Now, I don't know if they were sold or that was the rumor, but that's an application I've heard was worth up to $10,000. Now, whether that's just talk, and I don't
Yeah.
know. But you never know.
Did much of that go on in your time, or was it
No,
more?
none of that. No, not in my time.
It would be
Well,
passed on to people that you knew.
Yeah,
and
in
that
my
kind
in my time, let's say 60s, 70s, and 80s, you just went down to the hall and hung around, and if there was any surplus job, you got a job. There was no application or anything else. The applications came in later because we were getting, the hall thought, the union thought we were getting too low quality of people who didn't know anything, and we're getting a well-paid job. It's not a MAC job, so we should choose and get people that are good, better quality, worker, better quality. So that's when the applications came in.
Oh, okay.
Which was I guess good, because it leads itself to the rounders and the guys on the street, because you don't have a family, you're not making much money the first one. So who do you get? You get guys that are on welfare or something, can hang out all day and get a job. So that's what you were getting. We wanted to get people that were better education and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. And maybe for our last story, why don't you tell us about, was one of the last things you had written down, the union president who died before his last shift.
Yes, yeah, he was union president. He was, real good guy, and he was retiring, and he was going to work the afternoon shift, and he was cutting his lawn, and he died of a heart attack cutting his lawn,
Oh, no.
and he never made it in for his last afternoon shift before he retired, and that was,
What did you guys do when a fellow member died?
Oh, went to a funeral, and it was a packed funeral.
Oh, yeah.
If a fellow union goes, it's standing room only at a funeral. Probably.
Is that the
At a
same
church.
whether it's a work-related death or whether it's not a work-related death? You'd show up nonetheless?
Work-related, if one dies, it's, or a guy that's retired dies, it's standing room only. So, though I've been surprised that some of the family don't realize this, and it's bothered us guys. They say no funeral, or just the family.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
they don't realize what a tight-knit group you are, and then they say, well, no funeral, or just family only. And the guys feel pretty, they really don't like, they're disappointed about that,
Sure.
There's no good funeral.
You feel like you wanted to
Yeah,
have that together and...
that last togetherness, and,
Yeah.
And because you're with the guys just as much or more often than you are with your family. So that, and you've worked with them for 40, 45 years, 48 years. And, they know they've been through births, girlfriends, everything, your whole life.
Hell and high water, I guess,
they've
too,
been
working.
through everything with you. Because whatever happens, you're talking to them about it, all through the years. So, I mean, you could lie to someone else, but you can't lie to them.
Yeah.
Because they all know you.
Yeah.
You're good.
So in those cases, would you, if there was no funeral or something, would you do like a wake yourselves, sit down at the bar and have a drink for the guy, or?
Well, yeah, some guy we do it, but really you feel disappointed, and
Yeah.
I don't know, And if you go to the bar, they go to the bar and sit down and talk about him and stuff like this, but not an organized way to anything like that.
Do you think that was particular to the older generations? Like, because the union's so much bigger now, I guess it's less. Maybe it's less. Feels like a family less than it used to.
Yes, it does. And that was with the older generations. You've got members there that I don't. Most of them I don't know.
Yeah.
And so if one died, I wouldn't hear about it. You know, I have to go on the internet and go check and see who's died that I know. Now, if it's somebody that I don't know, but I don't go to the funeral. I mean, I've got to know the person. And
But and even after you retire, you check, and all
oh
the
yeah,
guys
I
will
check.
show up if there's
all
a
the guys
funeral.
that I know when I went with
Yeah.
a big group. If any of them died, we all head out to the funeral and stuff like that.
Did the families get to know each other? Like, did your wives know each other, your kids, and that kind of thing?
Yeah, some families got to. They used to have a women's auxiliary, but that didn't go over that good. The women, I don't know, I didn't get going. We tried it many years, 2 years and years. We'd get going for a while, maybe 4 or 5 years, and then die out, you know, and then get going in a little while for 2 or 3 years.
What was the women's auxiliary for? Were they?
Your wives, and they would put on a picnic, or they would put on this things and whatever
Social stuff.
Any social stuff.
Your wife was involved in that?
No.
She didn't want to be, or
Yeah, just didn't.
Didn't grab her?
Didn't grab her that. And I guess it just. Well, probably another thing too. Maybe a guy did the same thing. You got home late. You got home drunk. It wasn't your fault. It was Roger Stonehouse's fault. That guy got me in. And I mean, my first wife, she never met Roger. She hated him.
He took the fall, eh?
Oh, so I would presume that I took a fall for
someone, I guess.
and stuff like that. You know, to the WK.
So some of the wives must be giving you the side
well, they,
eye.
Oh, yeah.
they didn't want to see you meet this Dean.
Yeah, my wife did. I was Roger Stonehouse.
That Roger's a bad influence, I'm sure she thought.
Oh yeah, bad influence. He's always leading Dean astray. So that's just, I guess, and a lot of longshoremen probably did the same thing.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
So the wives didn't get.
Didn't care for some of you characters, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's it. Now you want to know about New Westminster?
Yeah.
I'll tell you about the St. Mary's Hospital here. They used to have the first one, and it was yellow on the corner, and it had the first one I ever saw was a monkey tree, the biggest monkey tree I ever saw. It's a tree that a monkey can't climb. It's this green one. Yeah.
With the pointy
Yeah, all the pointy
things,
things.
yeah.
That tree.
Doesn't matter.
That tree was, I don't know.
When
we
you
always
drive by
call
it
a
as
monkey tree.
siblings, you punch each other. And monkey tree.
Yeah,
punch.
but this was a monkey tree, and it was it must have been 40 feet high, or more, 50 feet high. And that's what we noticed it. We call it a monkey tree. And because it's the only tree a monkey can't climb.
Okay.
And then when I was 7, I broke my wrist at the college down here in the swings, and I had it went up there to set my wrist. And then I watched them tear it down, and I watched them build a new one. And they built the elevator shaft first, right to the full height out of wood. And so they built it from that way. And I remember I was, 8 or 9, me and Larry Ellison, we saw that, we were climbing to the top. And we climbed up, it was a ladder, all the way up there to the very top of this elevator shaft. And got up and looked over, see all over New Westminster. Then we had to go down.
Oh no.
I tell you, I would have had to have a helicopter get me. But Larry Ellison climbed over the side and climbed down. Well, he was a year older than me. So I had to do the same thing. And I had to climb over it. But boy, it was hard getting down. That was the last time he climbed that one.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. Yeah.
But we watched it, and he built it and everything. I had lots of experiences there where they were building it. And then watch it tear them down, And that was I don't know why they tore it down. It was really served a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And it was a good hospital. So I don't know what they're doing with it now. Condominiums or something they're doing? School. And so that was it in the New Westminster. Oh, I really enjoyed living in New Westminster. You ever hear of Mandrake the magician from years ago?
No.
He used to have a funny papers about him. He was in the funny papers. He'd read in the Sun and stuff. Big section, Mandrake the magician, and Luther, his sidekick and stuff. Well, Mandrake, his aunt, lived beside us. And he'd come up in the wintertime and visit his aunt. He had 5 kids. And the first time I saw him, he had a big, long limousine. And he came in and he looked exactly like he looked in the funny papers. The mustache, the hair, and the bag, you know. Oh. And us kids, it was really something to see Mandrake. And he did a few tricks and stuff at our place and showed us different things. And to know Mandrake, the magician, and to be read about him in the funny papers, he'd come up from the States and visit his aunt. And his aunt, Mandrake's, his aunt had a son who had polio. And he laid in the crib or in the bed all his life. She looked after him and he was in there. And that's all he did. He laid in the crib. He had polio and never got out of the house. And Mandrake, he did finally settle in Surrey here and stuff.
Yeah.
He put on shows here. When he was old, when he retired, he put on the shows here locally in New Westminster. And in, different arenas and stuff. But I know one thing that he did. In our house, in our living room, told my sister and I to go get any potatoes. Well, yeah, get a couple of potatoes. We went out and we had a sack under the sink and we had potatoes and got potatoes. He says, Dean, get over there. My sister was there. He says, he said to her, throw the potato to Dean. And she did. And I caught a rubber ball. No potato.
Oh.
And he said, throw the ball back to her, and she caught a potato. Now, and then it would reverse. And that was in our living room. And to this day, I got no idea
How he did it.
how he did it. But it was a trick. He says, everything is a trick.
Right.
And one time I was coming home from school, him and my dad were talking in the back lane down here, and I had a cold. And I was about from here to the wall, from 10 feet from him, and I sniffed. I sneezed. I got my hand, I blew my nose. He said, what are you blowing out money in your nose? What? He says, look in your handkerchief. And I tell you, I looked in there, and it was clean, and there's a 50-cent piece in my handkerchief.
Wow.
Now, I got no idea how he did that.
Did you get to keep it?
Oh yeah, my handkerchief.
And what about Queen's Park Arena? I noticed that you had written something down about the newest Royals hockey team.
Yeah.
Did you go up there much to see sports and lacrosse?
And hockey team, the New Westminster Royals, they won the Man Cup and everything else. They were quite famous there, And that was I used to go ice skating there every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And for all the kids from Queensborough and stuff, the ice was neutral ground. And there would be Billy Conkin. He was a dead-end kid, and his group would be always after me, or I'd be after them. And we'd go up there and go ice skate. And it was either he was chasing me home with his group after ice skating, and I'm riding my bike and I'm going, or else my group was chasing him home. He lived in Queensborough. My group was chasing him. That was just the way it was.
Was there a rivalry between the guys on this side of the kids on this side of the river and the kids on that side of the river?
On Queensborough.
Queensborough, yeah.
And there was a rivalry. And this Billy Conkin, he was.
In those days, how did you get between New West and Queensborough?
There was a bridge,
Where was that?
I think it was by the railroad bridge. There was an old bridge there by the railroad bridge. And but I never really got to Queensborough. They came here.
Okay.
And and I never really got there. And
Did you ever swim in the river?
once in a while, but not really. My parents didn't want me. They figured it was a very dangerous river and don't go in there. But once in a while, we'd go on the other side where there was a little bit of a beach, sandy
Oh,
beach,
yeah.
and swim in the river. But
Why did
My
they think
pa-
it was dangerous? Just the logs
just the
floating
look,
and
yeah,
that
yes,
kind-
the look of it, you know. One summer, what us kids did, my parents ever knew, but they didn't know. We'd go down, me and Larry Elkson. We're going out to go play with Larry Elkson. Go down to the docks by under the bridge,
Mhm.
and that's where the freight cars used to have to go very slow. The freight trains, we'd hop on a freight train,
Oh, wow.
and they'd take us out to White Rock and go slow at White Rock. We'd hop off,
Oh.
spend the day at White Rock, having a great time. 4 o'clock, the train, we see the freight train coming, run up to there as they slow down, hop on, and hang on until it got to the bridge. I don't know, how was your old me and Larry Elson? I was at his place all day. We never did tell him that if they had told we were riding the rods. At that age, we would have been in trouble. But we never told him. That's
Yeah.
it. And what else?
Did kids play much around the water or fish or?
We play in the docks even, you know, around the lumber
Oh, yeah.
piles and stuff like that. But you weren't supposed to. You know, that was sort of off limits. You didn't go down there and play.
Did the longshoremen ever try to shoo you away when you were on the docks? When you were little?
Oh, I don't know whether it'd be longshoremen or what. When I was little, I'd try to shoot you away, you know. Hey, kids, get out of here. You know, hey,
Yeah.
kids, get out of here. And so we'd leave. But we didn't go down there because we were up on Carnarvon Street, just up here. And so
Sure.
to go down there and play, no, we played all around here you know, most of the time. And,
More likely to go into Queen's Park to play than down there.
yeah, but Queen's Park was too far away. It's a long walk from here. You know, we didn't really go to Queen's Park.
Either.
Only for ice skating. But to play, you had the college here, and you had everything you wanted. You had your beach, you play your soccer, we played baseball down here all the time.
So quite a small little area that you
Yeah,
guys
yeah. Sort of a small
covered,
little-
yeah.
Langley store is still there on the corner of Agnes and 6th Street. We it used to be Langley's. And we used to get our little pennies here. We used to put on a little show. Yeah, like a circus. And get the kids coming to pay. And they'd pay a penny this year. We'd have maybe each of us 5 cents or so, you know. We'd all walk down to the Langley store and spend about a half hour checking out the candies we can get for 5 cents and finally buying it and then walking all the way back. And, you
Yeah.
know, that was a big deal. We used to do that.
Yeah, sure.
All right, well, shall we stop for the day?